Here we go then, back racing on the road for the Surrey League May 3-day, and this is stage 1, and you can see the course down in the bottom left, and obviously the first little bit of the race was neutralised, the flag drops, and every man and his dog turns into Tadej Pogačar and starts absolutely whacking it off the front. And the first 30 minutes of any road race is always pretty full on because there is some chopper swinging. Look at the speed, we're doing like 39 mile an hour. I don't even do that in Trisha the Transit, my Ford van. Like, as soon as that flag drops, every man and his dog's pinging it, and you're like, hello, it is go time, it is show time. You got to turn up and you got to hope your legs are there ready to battle. But it was a strong field. There was probably like maybe 60 riders in this. And because it's a stage race, one thing I did learn, it was a massive learning curve, this race. Teams start to bring out a strong, you could bring 5 riders in a team. So some of the teams out there, we had Lacquer, Precise Performance, Project 51, London Dynamo, Army and Paceline. And what I've learned since from last year to this year, when I was a Cat 3, I've got to admit, I've sort of fallen out of love with road cycling a bit. And I'll probably go over it in another video, but I'll try and keep this as exciting as possible to watch. But the thing is, what I've learned is when I was in Cat 3, I could rely on not being too arrogant, but being a little bit stronger and being one of the fitter guys there. And you could whack it off the front, feel like a bit of a legend, getting in the break and stuff like that. When you jump up into like Cat 2 racing, you realise everyone's strong. Look how slow we're going. Get off the brakes. Why are we going so slow? It was so spiky. We went so slow into the corners, and then you come out the corners and you're ripping the bloody head off it going full chap. It was madness. Like, every corner you come into, you get in that washing machine effect. If you're at the back, it gets strung out. Look how strung out it is. I'm so far back right now, you can't even see the front of the race. But as I was saying, you start to realise that when you go up into Cat 2, everyone's really strong. They're as strong as you, and they're stronger than me. Like, I felt like one of the weaker guys in this race because, I mean, I haven't done much road racing, and it is an art form. Road racing, crit racing, getting in the right position, holding position is just so important. And also being in a team helps so much. One of the teams that absolutely mastered this race and dominated it were Paceline. So you can see the guy to the right, blue and orange Paceline kit. They had guys pinging off the front, left, right and centre. First guy went, next guy went. And they were just relying on eventually someone getting in the break, someone going off the front. And they were super strong, all 5 riders. And they put the hurt on this whole race, I'm not going to lie. You can see though, 1 minute the pace eases off, next minute your eyes are jumping out of your head and you're going full ponies. And that is road racing because someone pings off the front. And hats off to Paceline. It really was eye-opening at how important like a team is in road racing, because they were making other teams shut it down. At one point, I think I was an absolute numpty and shut it down. But look, it's quite cruisy right now. My heart rate's at 140. We're just chilling, tapping along. And then before you know it, you come into a corner, get off the brake. I've never seen cornering so slow in my life. Look at this. Get the stabilisers off. Dale would be fuming. And then you come out the corner and you're absolutely ripping it full chap out of the corner, and you're thinking, Jesus Christ. And this forehand CC guy let the wheel go a bit, and you know, I'm a panicker when this happens, so I'm the numpty that goes straight round and closes that gap. It was so unnecessary, matches burnt. But the thing about positioning is, one thing I've learned in this race big time is getting to the front when it's a 60-man field and it's getting strung out on every corner is super hard. You either need someone to drag you to the front and jump on a wheel, or you've got to burn some matches to get up to the front. And eventually, after doing my professional wheel set, so you can see that Lacquer guy on the right's trying to move up, London Dynamo. Obviously, it's open roads as well, so you've got to risk life. You've got to dice with death going on the wrong side of the road, I'm not going to lie, to try and move up. But Also in the UK, potholes, absolute nightmare. So you've got to be really aware when you're racing, potholes, stuff like that. But yeah, everyone in this race was super strong and it was full gas. Like you come out of this corner, look, why are we on the brakes? Just rail it. You come out the corner, absolute thermonuclear. Every corner, whack, full gas. So that's it. You're getting a little bit of a look at the course right now, and it was because those bloody Paceline boys kept one guy off the front, next guy off the front, and it gets so strung out. And it's why positioning is so important. You've got to get yourself in the front third of that field. Otherwise, you're in that washing machine effect. You can see I'm trying to like move up a bit here, but it's just so hard to do. We're going so fast. This was the only little rise of the course. The course was like pan flat, this tiny little rise. It was like not even a rise. It was like a lump in it. It was a speed bump in the road, but every lap, just absolutely everyone whacking it up there. You get to the top and everyone just eases off the gas and rolls down the other side. I'm like, we could have just cruised over that, boys. We could have just taken it easy. Look, they're like 100 watts now. But yeah, so it's super hard to move up. And that's why positioning's so important. And you can see here, I'm like blocked in. Guys are going down the right, trying to move up. And the thing is, if you aren't in that front third, look at the potholes here. This is the finishing sprint straight. What can you do? They've marked it out as absolute pothole central carnage. Don't worry, spoiler alert, I didn't get to the sprint finish. But look, same again, absolute grannies round the corner. Get off the brakes, boys. And then we're pinging it. Eyes are jumping out ahead, max effort sprint. And the thing is, if you're at the front, you don't have to deal with them sprints. The surges aren't as bad because you can come into that corner, rail it, and just keep your speed up. The further back you are, all the brakes start coming on, everyone starts slowing down, and then you've got to deal with that sprint. And there's only so many, you're just burning matches every time, sprinting. And there is people out there that are really good at it. And if you're in a strong team like Paceline were, they were like probably at the front, just railing it round those corners and getting an easy ride out. Whereas if you're at the back, look, you just get so many people in front of you and there is nowhere to go. You can't dive bomb the inside because look, it'll just get shut down on you and it's an absolute chopper move to dive bomb it. But you come out the corner, absolute leg ripper. So it's really spiky. I think this whole race, I only averaged like 220 odd watts, something like that. But the normalised was up there like maybe 260, 270, which is more than enough for me because every corner you're just full chap. But that's the thing. If I could position myself better and get towards the front of the race, I wouldn't have to deal with these surges so much. So eventually I do take the plunge because I'm thinking, I haven't done many sprints in a while and this is just ridiculous back here. We're just eyes jumping out your chest. My heart rate's not particularly high because we're like cruising into the corners and then we're absolutely ripping it. But number 38 from Paceline, I was told before the race he's a bit of a TT machine. So I've got my eye on him and I thought, I'll tell you what, if he starts trying to move up, I'm going to take that free ride up. Look, you can see him looking over, checking the traffic and he makes his move and I'm like, you got to go with that, Georgie boy. You got to start trying to move up in this race because I want to know what's going on in the front because I'm getting my legs ripped off back here, sprinting out of every corner. But this is what you've got to do to move up. You've got to burn some matches. Look, within 36 mile an hour, I just jump on his wheel and I'm like, just glue yourself to the man's wheel now and get a free ride up. I'm not 100% sure on his name. It might be Paul, but he's super strong and he's just dragged me up. But the thing is, look, we've come from the back of the field to halfway and we've still got to get past all these guys and you're still getting that same effect. You're coming into this corner, everyone hits the brakes, bunches up, and then yet again, you're absolutely pulling the pin out of it, sprinting your balls off to get back up to speed and just get back on a wheel. And that was the story of it. I seriously, look, Paceline, what a legend. I could see the front of the race. It's only took me about half an hour and couple of laps. But look, that's what Paceline done. They just ping it off the front, and then 39 rolls over the top. One of the other Paceline guys eases off the gas to try and let his man get. Look, they're dominating the front of the bunch. Absolutely incredible performance from them. Hats off. And I realised, like, when you're a lone wolf or just me and Ben, it is super hard. Unless you're incredibly fit, it is super hard. Look, you can see the Paceline guys ease off the gas while their other fella just whacks it off the front. And you can see how easy it is just to... I've tried to jump over here because I see little gaps, but really I'm just shutting down the gap and taking the peloton with me, so it's absolutely pointless. But nothing was coming of the attacks, but it was relentless every time they got a chance. And then go fast, turn left, he whacks it off the front, and it was pretty full on this race at times. Just sprint, ease, and it was because there were so many teams in it. Like, I've now realised the importance of team racing, team tactics, and just how tactical racing is. Look, guys, just trying to whack it off the front. You've got to love it. And to be honest, I just didn't have the pace to go off the front. I've been feeling, I don't want to make excuses. Coming into this race, I've been feeling flat, fatigued. I don't want to make excuses, so I am going to make excuses. But in all honesty, I'm going to put it out there. A lot of these boys were just stronger than me. You can't come from mountain bike to road racing. You sort of lose the feel for it, if that makes sense. Because, like I was saying, positioning, important, being in the wheels, saving energy, not doing these aggressive spikes out is just, you've got to learn. Look, finally, we're starting to get off the brakes now, but still sprinting out the corner. Look how strung out it is. If you look further up round the corner, guys are pinging it off the front. It's sprint. Look at it. God, son, and number 2 here, absolute monster up the outside. So you can see how quickly, blink of an eye, I went from the front to the back. And yet again, I'm burning matches to try and move up, because I was just like, I need to see what's going on up here. Who the bloody hell's doing all this attacking? But literally, you take your eye off the ball for one moment in a race, and I've gone from the front of the peloton to the back. Bit of carnage here going around this car. I mean, what can you do? Like, the marshals do their absolute best, but some people just hate cycling, I think. And this guy literally just pulled out on us and parked his car. And because of that, yet again, we're absolutely pulling the pin out of that corner. And this is what the race was like. It was like chilled, pull the pin. Chilled, pull the pin. And I was like, holy cow. Give me a break. I'm not used to these surges. Like, in mountain biking, I think I just sit at like my threshold type thing and I'm just like going round. But serious lesson learned. And I'm on Nick Moss's wheel here. So some of you may or may not know, I am part of the GS Mosser race club, race team, whatever you want to call it. So we do have a bit of a alliance here, and he starts pinning it. So I'm like, I'm just going to jump on Nick's wheel. I'm going to get like a free ride back to the front. But he's a strong boy. Look at the power he must be putting out now to move up is absolutely phenomenal. But you can see what you got to do. Look, even it's just so strung out, so hard to move up, and my positioning was just pathetic. But Nick's done an absolute legendary move here and pulled me right to the front of the field, and I was like, thank you, Nick, you absolute hero. And as we do get to the front, he decides to go full on the attack. Fair play. After doing that turn, the old legs must have been burning. Just here, Nick decides to whack it. Now, normally I'll be a chopper and go with that. As he whacks it, I pull over to the front of the bunch and I just ease on the gas a little bit. Little bit of team play. I don't want to make it noticeable that I'm doing it. But look, people know straight away that you're doing a little bit of blocking, and they start trying to whack it over. So what I was doing, I'd already spoken to Nick before, and I was like, if you go off the front, I'm not going to shut it down, blah, 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 vice versa. Like, team alliance sort of thing. So I've tried to ease the gas off a little bit. Not fully, because this is a little incline, so I've still got to put a little bit of power up to get up there myself. But people start to notice that. The gap starts to open and teams will start panicking and coming round you, whacking it. Look, you can see I really eased off there. And people start to notice it behind and they're like, that could be dangerous. Look, guys, whacking it. And number 2, seriously strong boy. Strong boy. Look. Guys are guys are panicking now and pulling the pin, and I'm like, I'm not going to shut it down. So forehand CC, seen the danger, gone for it, and I've just like, I'm going to jump on his wheel. But unfortunately, Nick gave it a go. Nothing came of it. It all sort of comes back together, and you'll see here it comes back together. There's Nick on the right, and guys are still just whacking it. Calm down, boys. And this was probably the most exciting bit of the race for me, because I'm actually finally at the front, and a couple of lads are off the front, and I'm on the front of the peloton again. I don't know, honestly, I shouldn't have been doing this. This was a chopper move, but when you're in the moment, you're like, I'm a big boy up the front. But in reality, I don't know why I was doing this. But for some reason, I just saw those two just off the front. I'd give it a little ping to sort of half-heartedly ping it over to him up this little incline, but all I've done is just bring everyone with me. And as I do that, yet again, Paceline absolutely ping it over the top. So you can see here doing 0 watts, Paceline whack it again. This was there, and then look who's in front, 37 Paceline. So straight away I took the decision. I had to go round it and try and shut it down, because that was the guy, the number 38 Paul, that was really strong time trialist. And I saw that and I thought, I've got to put a dig in here. I should not be doing this. There is so many teams at this race that should be shutting this down, yet it's me on the front being an absolute numpty. But you feel like you get a little badge of honour being on the front, ripping it. Look, I pull through, matey flicks the elbow straight away, and I'm like, do not flick your elbow, because it's Paceline again and he's going to ease off the gas to let his man go. So I've got to pull through again. This was probably the hardest bit of the race for me. I have no idea why I was doing it. Look, I've never done 30 mile an hour in my life. And I was literally like, someone come round and help. But people see that I'm obviously struggling, and they see that Paceline are getting a bit of a gap, and eventually they start whacking it, trying to bridge over. And I'm thinking, teams have got to start coming round me now, because my legs are hurting and I'm starting to burn all my matches. That was my bit of excitement at the front of the race. I got my little sticker, my little badge of honour. And in all honesty, this was poor techers from me. I should not have been on the front when there's 5 or 6 teams with 5 riders in this, and it's me and Ben like getting our legs ripped off basically out of every corner. But you'll see here, Paceline obviously guarding the front behind me, so I'm still on the gas at the front, and then finally teams start coming round and thinking, we have got to shut that down. But that's my bit of excitement. Unfortunately, I don't have the full footage of the race, because I did get dispatched in a minute, or in about half an hour's time, and the GoPro runs out anyway. But basically what was happening, Paceline were just pinging it. I was in terrible positions. Look, I've gone from the front. You can see how quickly you will move back. If you literally blink and ease up for a second, it feels like the whole world comes round you and you're back at the back of the peloton. Serious lessons learned. And this was just the case of the race. I'd get to the front, and then I'd be an absolute numpty and drift back and be sprinting again. And then I'd be sprinting again out of corners. And basically what happened to me coming into, we had about 2.5 laps to go. I'm going to make my typical cyclist excuses now. We came into about 2.5 laps to go for me, and I dropped my chain. Absolute nightmare. I've had problems with the 1 by setup I've got. I've popped on the screen. I lost about 51 seconds putting the chain back on. By the time I'd got the chain back on, got going, I'd done about 2 minutes at 332 watts, which is like my max ever 20 minutes. And I was doing like 27.5 miles an hour. And the boys in front were pulling away from me. They were out of sight. And after that, I just eased off the gas. I knew I wasn't going to get back on. Once you're out of the back of this race, it's absolutely Red Rover because the pace in the peloton's just so fast. But unfortunately, drop chain for me, but big up the Paceline boys. One guy eventually got away off the front solo, took the win only by about a few seconds. There was then a group of chasers and then the peloton just behind them at about 25 seconds down. But absolutely incredible performance from Paceline. Serious lessons learnt from me. Positioning, being in a team and all the tactics. Road racing is so tactical and just so bloody brutal. But that was stage one. Me out the back, dispatched, unfortunately. And I didn't really get a chance to shine, so to speak, apart from when I went on the front for a bit and gave it the beans. But apart from that, I was useless on the day, I'm not gonna lie.